Hey, let's start taking our seats. Let's get ready so we can go, and I won't take up too much of your time, I hope.
All right. I think all.
Yes, I mean.
There's only one that's not there.
All right. So do me a favor. We're not in church, just like I said last year. Let's move up front. So we're going to have some speakers that you may not be able to hear because they talk pretty low, some civilians and everything. And then, of course, we got the oldest people sitting in the back. Come on, Chief. All right. So it's kind of hard this year to tell who's Air and who's Army because we all got the same uniform just about now. So that's a funny thing. Before we get started, one thing I want to do again that I did last year is let you all know, I try not to operate in a vacuum. Unfortunately, a lot of times I travel, there's things that go on. So I have my teammates that keep me in check that are sitting in the front row here. So Sergeant Major Dyer, go ahead and come on up. Sergeant Major Dyer, you all know, State Sergeant Major, Command Chief Castle. He's the Air National Guard Command Chief, Senior Enlisted Advisor. Sergeant Major Turbeville, he's our State Guard Senior Enlisted Advisor. And then, of course, we have Sergeant Major Shockley, Troop Command, and Sergeant Major Horn, Division. So, just like I did last year, the reason I want to make sure y'all know that, because whatever concerns y'all voice up through the channels that make it to them or whatever they have working or whatever's going on, we talk constantly, and hopefully I can get whatever you need at the level of the tag identified, corrected, changed, whatever it is that we need to do to support the troops that are out in the field. So all three of these gentlemen, including myself, and then our one female senior enlisted leader, which is great to see. We need more of those, so beat the bushes. And then Sergeant Major Horn, we talk. Now, one thing I want to let you know, I'm not better than anybody else. Nobody else is either in this room. So don't get your feelings hurt whenever someone calls you out for something that you're not doing or that you may have done that wasn't done the right way. And I've talked to Sergeant Major Shockley already this morning. I'll use this example, and it's actually me. I made a move and did something without even calling to let her know that this was coming her way. But what she did, and I appreciate more than anything, is she called me. Said, "Hey, Chief, what the hell are you doing?" And I said, "You're right. I screwed up." So don't be afraid to talk to each other and call each other out. Sergeant Major Dyer gets on me all the time. Chief Castle does too. He's still saying I'm talking more Army than I'm Air. So. And then Sergeant Major Turbeville, he and I are developing our relationships, and he has recently taken over. And I'll give you a second to say a few things real quick. Yep.
I guess one of the things you'll see right away, you notice the uniform has changed for the State Guard. We look like you. Yeah, cool. The biggest thing is we're going through a reorganization process right now. We're going from components to brigades. We're all one. There's no longer Air, TMR, TMD, Army. It's all one guard. Okay? Mission hasn't changed. The mission ready packages are the same. What's change, we're all one force. Okay? Well, we're here to support you guys and support the citizens of Texas. That's what we're here for. Okay? That's it.
Thank you. Chief Castle, you got anything?
Just kind of to reinforce what Sergeant Major said. Obviously, from the air side, we do our mission and we do it well. But we are one team. There's been a lot of emphasis put in place to make sure that we all talk to each other from the Air, Army, and the State Guard side, so we understand and appreciate what each other does, and we can help each other out. That's the purpose of today, and we need to continue that effort. So I thank you all for being here, and I'm here to help.
You got a minute.
No cursing.
Those that know, he just talks to hear himself talk. That's what that's got a relationship with that.
This is why he gets a lot of mentorship. We call it now mentorship. I'll be very brief. I just want to say thank you guys for attending. I appreciate all the max effort you guys gave to PT this morning. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But I'm not going to waste any more time. This is the one time you got me speeches because you busted me out right away.
Wow.
It's not going to work for you, but it'll work for you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. So, yeah, I hope fitness, y'all did have a good time. Like I said earlier, that was one thing, believe it or not, on every single person that commented from last year's, not one negative comment at all. So we had a good time. Hopefully you did again this morning. If anybody's lower back is tight, it's understandable, doing the tire flips. So our Major McCardell and I were the only two on ours, and she was doing most of it, I think, so that was even better for me. But I wanted to bring you all here, and I know there was some confusion, and I want to address that real quick, because initially it had been sent out, it was 06 level and above, because we were going to have a command team conference, which was the tag was going to bring in the 06s and above too, and we were going to do our own little breakouts based on that. Kind of fell through a little bit. We're just shifting it. We're still going to have that. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But for those that didn't get here because of the confusion, in the future, bring that up. Let us know. Because I know I got a call from Sergeant Major Moore, who actually asked me, hey, what is going on? Because of that. We were confusing, saying this is what it was, and then we shifted it to all E9s. So appreciate those that made the trip. I know especially yesterday with the weather and everything that was going on, it probably hindered you a little bit. We have a few that are late because of that, because their flights didn't arrive or different things happened. This year, it's going to be, for me, I have actually did slides this year. So opening remarks. So this is going to be my focus for this year. I have 3 lines of effort that we're going to talk about, and hopefully it'll fit in your lanes as well. And the reason I'm doing this is because this last year was an opportunity for me to really get out, see what's going on in the force, figure out where we're at, and what we're doing good, which is, believe it or not, majority of things we are doing are great. Whether it's from the lowest enlisted E1 up to you all at your level as Sergeant Major to Command Sergeant Majors to Chiefs or Command Chiefs. Doing great jobs, great work for our troops. So based on that, I want to focus a little bit on these efforts for me and hopefully push that down to you so that you can help get us in that right track as well. But first I'll start with a video, and this will kind of set the tone, and it's in the state that we are basically in for all of us in the military right now. No sound.
Ability to make sure that airmen this is on us, right? So from myself all the way down to the chiefs that are in squadron flights, AMUs, it's our responsibility to make sure that airmen across our Air Force know and understand about the Air Force Wounded Warrior Program. And it's even more important that we encourage participation in these programs, which frankly, it requires sometimes you to miss a little bit of work. Sometimes it requires you to not be available for your team or whatnot. And this is therapy, right? I tell you, that's one of the things that many of the airmen say, hey, I was in such a bad place. I was, not feeling good. I was thinking about harming myself. And when I found the Air Force Wounded Warrior program, that was my aha moment, and that changed the game for me.
Okay, so that was the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force currently, talking about the Air Force Wounded Warrior program. I couldn't find one from Sergeant
This is on us,
talking
right?
about,
So from myself all the way to
talking about the Army, WTBs, WTBTUs. In case you don't know, they're all transitioning into WTB battalions. But that's kind of where we're at right now. The state of our younger troops, the state of what's going on with them, and you all see where we have these individuals that struggle with just life in general, whether they're coming into our formations that way, or based on the stresses of what we require, is putting them in that thought process. So, first off, the lines of effort, number one for us, of course, based on the TAG's priorities, is retention. So I want to make sure that we are doing our job. We are the ones that are out there talking to them. We're the ones making things happen. We're retaining them. And part of that feeds into what line of effort number 2 is going to be that I'll show you here in a second. But some of the things we got to do. I know it's difficult in our job, in our position sometimes, to treat them with the dignity and respect when you got an E1, E2, E3, E4 coming up and basically questioning you on something. A lot of times, they're really not questioning you and your authority and your responsibility, but questioning the process. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we want to know the why. Why do we do something? Now, there's a time and a place for that. I get it. I understand it. But we've got to give them those opportunities to do this. And granted, I've been in 32 years now, and it's hard for me still sometimes. I have a son that's in the Air Force who still calls me and goes, why the heck are y'all doing this? As talking about y'all as a leadership. They don't understand a lot of it. So retention feeds into that. So if we can get them to understand the why, a lot of times they'll buy into whatever program that we have and we're going forward with. We just got to get them to understand that part of it. And then this is something the TAG talks about every time we go out, rewarding. Are we actually taking the time to ensure our troops are getting rewarded, whether it's a thank you, a slap on the back saying great job, or awarding them medals or letters of appreciation, anything like that. This new generation, sometimes that's all they need. They just need you to say, hey, thanks, appreciate the job you're doing, come back tomorrow. One thing that I couldn't believe this when I heard it, but I heard that there were some people leaving because they weren't even asked to stay. They did their time, come to the end of their service, and they're like, well, no one asked me to stay. They just said, hey, thanks, appreciate you coming. So get down on your knees with them and talk to them. And I know that's not necessarily what we do at our level for every single person, but someone should be. So this should be pushed down to your lowest level supervisors, leaders, because they should be asking that question. And it's not just, hey, are you going to stay? It's okay, what are you going to do? What's your plans? Where are we going? What do you ultimately want to do? And if you are coming up on the end of your service, how about staying another 4 years and see if we can make that happen? So talking to them about changing jobs, MOS and AFSCs, that's a way to make it happen as well. Because there are some that are just bored with what they're doing. And nothing on anybody. We all want to be excited about coming in. We all want to make things happen. We all want to do things. So line of effort 2, comprehensive fitness. So as you can see, from Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force right, this is something that has really affected our forces more than we ever thought it would. I know it's been around since 9/11. We've really seen a lot more of this. And the generations have created more problems as well, just based on them not being able to handle situations the way we did. Just go do it, make it happen. So we've got to make sure that we are fitting into these lines of effort, or this line of effort, to engage with them, talk to them, let them know. So physical, talk about that a little bit. For those of y'all that don't know, we are going to have a state mandatory fitness policy. Once a week, you, as a full-time force, once a month as a traditional or M-Day force, you're going to do fitness with your units in formation, however y'all want to do it. Now, we're not making an edict that it's going to be done this way, at this time, this location. It just has to be done. It's based on the leader of that unit at the time. So during the week, you might have an OIC that's in charge. You might have a sergeant major that's in charge. You might have a staff sergeant in charge. Whoever's in charge of that unit will be the one that's mandating, here's what we're going to do, here's where we're going to go, here's how it's going to happen. So one thing that you will see in this op award when it comes out, we're still working some of the legal aspects of it to review. You will have the ability to do it how you want. That's all it is. It's just a chance for us to create a healthier environment. The tag is big on this right now. I've been talking to her since she came into office about some of the fitness issues we have. We send people to school who can't pass their fitness tests. We have people that struggle every day that just don't do anything. When I went and visited AT this past summer, one of the soldiers there is still a specialist. He's been in 9 years. They're like, dude, what's going on with you? Oh, I can't pass my fitness test. Why? I'm a truck driver. Okay, so get imaginative. He couldn't pass his run. So I talked to him, I'm like, well, you don't drive 24 hours a day, do you? He goes, no, but I'm always on the road. Okay, how big are the truck stops? Can't you go out and run around the truck stop? I know it's a little dangerous, but there's areas and fields usually around there in the back that you can go run around. I know. But he didn't even think of that because he's just thinking, I'm driving, I'm tired, just like all of us when we go home from work. I'm tired, I don't know what to do, don't know how to make this work in my schedule. Think of things like that. Talk to them, engage with them, and really understand why they can't pass instead of going, you're not doing what you're supposed to. Now, on our Army side, we do have the Bolt app that has been published, that is out. That is to try and get after some of that for them because we are converting to the ACFT. That's coming on the Army side. But the Air, don't think you're left out. Because at the last conference I went to, they talked about that there. So the Air Force Physiological Lab is looking into how do we adjust our Air Force fitness tests. And granted, it won't be in line with the way the ACFT is doing it, even though some of our airmen are already participating in that. It's still being looked at. So don't think physical fitness is ever going to go away because it is part of our comprehensive fitness. It creates a healthy lifestyle. It makes us better. It makes us more efficient in our work as well. So please, when that comes out, I know I'm going to get a lot of spears thrown at me, but just understand the intent behind it is for us to get ahead of this and try and make things work towards the goals we need. So on the Army side, your exercises should be working towards the ACFT. On the Air side, it's the healthier environment that we're trying to create because yours is going to be changing. I know. So mental, connecting with the troops. I talked about this last year, WTB visits. So on the Air Force side, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize we actually have airmen that are in the WTBs. Went and visited Fort Sam 2 weeks ago, I think it was. And there was a tech sergeant in there from the Texas Air National Guard. Didn't even know it. Did you know? Yeah. So getting out and getting introduced to who your warriors are, that's part of what we need to do. That's supporting them. There's some easy kills that we can have for them that get them taken care of, that they get back in our formations faster because they're going, well, shit, somebody does care. Whereas they don't feel like it's there right now. And the ones that have visited, the same sentiment is echoed throughout that no one cares about me. I know Sergeant Major Horn, you set up a visit with some of your Sergeant Majors to the WTBs. We got to continue that, and it's not visiting as much as it is connecting with them and contacting them. Just reaching out, going, hey, how you doing? What's happening? Anything we can help you with. So ERBs, easy fix, but they don't have access because they're on an active network. So we bring J1 up there. They sit down with them, update the ERBs, and then we go. So little things like that will help. Spiritual. We all have chaplains. We all have them out there. They have a way of talking to people that I know I definitely don't have that ability. But they can connect. They can help them on that spiritual side, whatever it may be. Religion, non-religion, because we have some that are agnostic. Whatever they need help with, you got to get out there and help them with it. Social, encourage them. have friends, because a lot of these troops that are having these psychological episodes, they're just withdrawn. They're staying with themselves. They don't go anywhere. They don't do anything. They show up at your formations, and they're the ones standing in the corner by themselves. Get them engaged with somebody. Try to engage with them during the week. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know y'all understand this. But we are not, ourselves, we're not pushing this down armor. We're not ensuring that our platoon sergeants, our flight chiefs, any of them are really getting engaged in doing this. Because we're talking about it, but are we doing a check on money? Are we really asking them, have they done this? So that's the struggle. That's the part. So any questions on any of this so far on this line of effort? Because I know we talk about it. I know it's difficult, and I know that there are people out there who still feel that the majority of these ones that are in the WTB, whether it's a physical injury, they can see that. Emotionally, inside, psychologically, we can't see that. And sometimes we have that perception and feeling that they're just doing this because they don't want to deploy. They want a free paycheck. They want orders, whatever it may be. But we don't know that. So if we discuss with them and talk to them and engage with them, maybe they'll get over that piece and go, well, shit, maybe I do want to be part of this. So take advantage of that. Really talk to them. And once again, I'll say on the air side, I know it's a struggle because a lot of your med groups don't want to release who is in the Wounded Warrior program. You can get that. Let me know if you get pushback. Because I know they still claim that's a HIPAA violation, which it isn't whatsoever. We don't need to know their status. We just need to know who's in it so that we can contact them. Line effort 3, force development. So one of the things that I've already talked to Sergeant Major Dyer and Chief Castle about, and we're going to start pushing this down and really trying to get this done, is create a bench. So what I mean by the bench is currently what we do, whether it's on the air side or the Army side, is we do kind of a shotgun approach. Hey, who wants to go to nominative leaders course? Me, put my name in. Hey, who wants to go to this training? Who wants to go to this? Instead of us purposefully really looking at people, having those conversations at the E9 Sergeant Major Chief level, and then dropping that down even further at the E8, E7 level, going, what's your intent for your career? Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? Do you want to be done at E7, E8? Do you want to go to E9? Do you want to be the State Sergeant Major or the State Command Chief? Do you want to be the C-Cell? And if there are people that say that's what they want, how do we get them developed the right way to get there? Some of you might have seen that there was a bench process that was created by NGB, brand new, for senior enlisted advisors, C-Cells, and some CSLs, command chiefs. At the brigade level, sorry, I'm saying a lot right now. So what they're trying to do is this same approach, and they just created. Sergeant Major Kepner has taken over some of the spots that used to go to the components or the branches, the Army and the Air Guard side. Keystone is one example. So he's got these Keystone seats now that he has this bench development panel that you apply for, and you're racking, stacked, stratified, saying, all right, if we only get one seat for whatever course it may be, this is the person we're going to send. But that also feeds into the National Guard actually applying now, putting people in for co-com positions. We've never done that. It's been an ad hoc process of somebody just saying, I want to do this. So you have Chief Anderson, who's the Air National Guard Senior Enlisted Advisor, and then you have Sergeant Major Sample on the Army National Guard side. It's just been them going, hey, these are the people we want to do. And I know they go through the various councils, but now this is going to be an NGB approach on how this happens. Well, I want to do that same thing here in the state. So I'm sitting on the board for the NGB one next week, I think it is. So that I can see the process that they're doing. Because we already started talking about this, but we really haven't figured out how we're going to do it yet. So that's something that we want to go towards. So that if I do have a newly promoted Sergeant Major, and they say, hey, I'm done with this, I'm out. This is where I'm staying, I'm comfortable here, I'm retiring, or I'm not going to do anymore. That's good. Well, appreciate it, that's where you're going to be. If they say they want to come up. And if I have a chief that says the same thing, hey, I want to move up, I want to be the next senior enlisted advisor for the Air National Guard or the Army National Guard or whatever it may be. We're going to develop our people purposeful to get them into those positions so that they can compete and they are the next ones. Career counseling, that's one of the things we are supposed to be doing. We don't do very well at it. But I had to talk to the formations on the air side. You know, how often are you really doing an ACA with your troops? Some are doing great, some aren't. On the Army side, how often are you doing your quarterly evaluations? Quarterly. Yeah, supposed to do. So that's some of the things we need to work on. We as leaders need to push that down and make sure that they're getting what they need to get. And just because you're a technical expert doesn't mean you're a good leader. We understand that. Leadership's different than the actual work piece that you do. Sometimes they go hand in hand based on as you're coming up, and once you get to the senior leader level, E8, E9 specifically, you're not that person anymore. So you shouldn't be out there busting balls. Unless you're a technician, sorry. Unless you're a technician. You shouldn't be out there busting everybody and saying, hey, you're not doing that right. You should be the one mentoring and coaching them. That's where you come in. Just like Sergeant Major Horn had to do this morning with someone that wasn't wearing his fitness uniform correctly. That's what we're about. That's how you make things happen. Professional development course. So this is something that I'm starting to do this year. And what I want to do is take some of our junior enlisted and get them exposed now into, hey, here's what the future is. So my plan is your best warrior winners. Airside, OAY, Outstanding Airman of the Year program. Whatever other program we have where we actually sit there and look at them and go, you're the best of what we have in this. I want to take those troops up to DC. I want to take them to visit both readiness centers. So it'll be not a branch specific. It's going to be Air and Army both. So the Air get to see the Army Readiness Center. Army get to see the Air Readiness Center. Get to talk to some of the people and understand where we're going in the future and what we're doing. But then on top of that, and I've already worked this out with GAO, so they're on board, get them to visit the Capitol. Talk to some of our state representatives, our federal representatives, our senators. Just an opportunity to be up there. So that's some of the things we're looking at. And then the capstone for that will be, we're actually going to go to a battlefield, sit and talk about why we do what we do, where the Guard came from. Because all that's up there makes it easier. But it's an opportunity to get them out. And on top of that, we're also trying to get them on some of our SPP visits and what we're doing. So that we can show everybody, just because you're putting forth the effort doesn't mean you're just going to stand around. We're actually going to showcase you. So that will hopefully entice them to start doing better, show up, pass their fitness, do their PME, make things happen within the units. And then finally, the NGB or state rotations. Currently on the officer side for NGB, on the Army specifically, the Air, we have only, I think it's 2. We have a rotation program where the officers go up there for 2 years at NGB and then rotate back into the state. We have a place to put them because we're developing the next leaders. I want to try and emulate that on the enlisted side as well. But what that's going to take is us actually getting out of our comfort zone and saying, yeah, I'll take that NGB tour for 2 years, 1 year, whatever it may be, to get that exposure, develop those relationships so that we can start being the ones that take over. Texas, you'll hear the tag say this every time, is the biggest, but we're also the best Guard force in the United States. The only way we can continue to get what we want and do what we need to do to support us is have the people in NGB understand that and bring in what they need to. So I'm looking at trying to make that happen, but that's going to be part of the big process as well. We'll have those discussions. If you want to be the next leader in the state, this might be something we look at and go, okay, it's a discriminator. They've done an NGB tour. They've done a state up here, staff tour. We're going to try and look at that and make it happen. You got perplexed look. Am I not saying something that makes sense? You always look like that, something makes sense? Come on. But that's the things I want to try and do. I'm trying to do this for us so that we can develop tomorrow's leaders for our state. Any questions on any of this? Man, I feel pretty good. So that's my 3 lines of effort for this year. What I'm trying to do is fit everything that I look at, and like what we do with our priorities and our national defense strategy and what we do operationally. I'm trying to fit everything underneath that. These do nest, just so you know, what some of the tags, priorities, and what she's looking at. So notes, these are just some notes I want to give y'all. I'm trying to delay for the tags, so in case y'all are wondering.
She just texted you.
She did?
10 o'clock. So she's 30 minutes behind.
Okay. So I can. You might not want to hear it, but I can. Just like all of us in here probably. So here's some notes I just want to let y'all know. Here's what's coming in the future. Here's some things that we're talking about. So best warrior competition, for those of y'all that don't know, there's the date. It's at Camp Swift. I hope to see all the E9s there, because this is about all the soldiers and airmen and our state partners that are participating, the junior enlisted. Supporting them, taking part in this, really helps them understand and feel, goes back to what we were saying for line effort number 2, that you care about them, that you're really trying to put them forward. It's a lot of fun. I know it's a thrash on the units. I get that. I understand that. But it is a recognition program for them. So whatever heartburn we have and how hard it is for us to conduct these leading up to the state level, I ask that you please indulge me and make sure that happens. And Sergeant Major Dyer and I are planning this next one. It should be fun. It's a lot different than what we had last year as far as mystery day or mystery event, but y'all will like it. And Sergeant Major Morrow, he's spearheading it for us as well. Best Warrior Banquet, little change, so I hope y'all see that. So we're going to have it on April drill instead of May. That's open house weekend. So what my plan is with that is that way we get our younger soldiers and airmen and state partners here to see what happens on open house who've never been to headquarters when it's open instead of when it's closed. Because normally we do it in the evening time. No one's here, nothing's going on. It's going to be at the Nimitz Museum in Fredericksburg. So a little different. Trying to change things up. It's a little better showcase for us. We're kind of outgrowing the museum across the street. Last year was the most we had, and it was, we had a bar. We did some things differently to try and open it up, but it was still a little tight. So we're going to do it at the Nimitz. See how that goes. And then my goal, as I told y'all last year, is I'm the kind of person, I'm all over the place. So I don't like holding things in the same place. If we can take advantage of it and give people opportunities in other areas of the state to host and do things, that's what I'd like to do, because it's difficult for you to have to travel every single time in one place whenever others just say, well, I live here, so I don't have to do it. Command Team Conference. So this is going back to what I was talking about earlier, Command Team Conference. We're going to have that, I've got to word this properly. We're going to have that the same time NGAD is hosting their conference. So the plan, and this is still the plan, we're trying to work this out. We got to get NGB to buy off because of the expense of this conference and bringing the people we want to, is from your company level, flight level on the air side, officer and senior enlisted they have, whether it's first sergeant, master sergeant, so forth and so on. So that includes the E9s as well. So this is going to be a large conference, and it's going to be done in stages. So the first 2 days will probably be 06 level, and they're enlisted to talk about certain things, strategic things that are going to be happening at that level. And then the rest of it is going to be those captains and above, basically, what they're enlisted. So we're trying to include everybody. We're trying to get everybody in on what the goals are for the state, what's happening. So with that, this is also going to include our E9 piece. We're going to have a breakout session where we're going to be able to do our own piece of this as well. So it's not going to only be about the officers. It's about us and what we're doing too. So that's why this is only 1 day. As compared to normal, we do 2 days, cumulative, half a day, half a day. That's why this is only 1 day, because I got the tag to buy off and I'm still doing it, but I feel it's important for us to get together and talk about some things. Starting the fiscal year out, the new year out right. But this is what that's going to be about. This is going to be the total team concept and what we're doing. So she is pushing the envelope on this as far as money-wise, because that's where the legal piece comes in. We've got to get NGB to sign off, so basically General Langell has to sign off on us spending $1 million and then some to bring everybody up at a conference for us on leadership. And it just so happens to be the same time NGAT's going on. So now we can get our agenda in line to see some of the events that are going on in India. Those guest speakers that come and talk. Sergeant Major Sample is going to be one of the guest speakers this year. That's what we're trying to go for. We're trying to get you to be involved a little bit more with our organizations and what's happening. Now, the goal isn't just that. It's all about the command team conference. We need to get together and talk about what the tags, priorities, and what we're looking for this next year. Professional organizations lead into, NGAT, NGIS, all that. There's the dates for their next conferences in their locations. Please support all of them, whatever it may be. They support us. They're the ones that can lobby for us. We're the ones who just go up and educate our legislators. They can actually go in and say, you need to do this because of X, Y, Z. Here's how it's going to affect our troops. Here's what's going to happen with our forces. Challenge program. Who knows about the challenge program? Just show of hands. Really? Only that little. Okay. So, no, that's what I need to know. So the challenge program, what it's about is our at-risk youth or those that have already dropped out of high school. So it's the kids that get sent forward. They have to get nominated. They can't just show up. Well, they get nominated, and they're there on their own. They're not forced to be there. It's not a judge saying you will go and do this. It's not the courts or anyone else, child protector service. These are kids that, because of their home life, are struggling to make it through high school. And that struggle for a lot of them is real. It's not a family that just, we don't care about school. They don't have a place to live. They don't have food on the table. They don't have money. They don't have anybody who cares about them. Some of them are from the street. That's what it's about. So we have a challenge program, state of Texas. It's a National Guard run program. That's why the NG is capitalized. Every Monday they do an award ceremony. Every single Monday. They would love to have us come out and speak just to them. And it could be 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Doesn't have to be anything long. Their location is in Eagle Lake, which is southeast of here. Just let me know if anybody would like to do that, or even go on a tour. To get to speak to these kids and really find out what their story is. And I'll give you this one real quick. So they have male and female there, all the same. They have their own dorms, just like we do military-wise. So this young female was showing me around one time, and she was excited because she was going to get to show us her dorm, show us what they do, how they cleaned it, how they made it ready. They do this every single day. And granted, this is toward the end of the program, so she's already bought in. She's amped up. Well, the director comes around and goes, we're not going to be able to show your dorm because there's more men here than there are women for this group. And she was deflated, literally deflated. I saw it right away. She shoulders slumped, started not being as excited, not doing as much. So I talked to the director, and I'm like, was there anybody in there? Well, no, but there could be. I said, well, can we clear it first? So she agreed. She went and told the young person this, the young female, and she was back again. And it was that much. Because she has been let down her entire life. So to all of a sudden take this from her, what she was already excited about, it was kind of bringing her back to, here we go again. I'm trying to do something good and no one wants to see it. So those kids are all about that. I mean, they're really there on their own. They're really trying to do what they want to do. They have kids that run, but they come right back because they don't have what they want to. What's that? It is.
You can run if you want to, but you're just going to be tired when you get here.
But the kids realize that. They'll take off, they'll hitchhike, do something, and then eventually they'll call and say, I want to come back. So there's no gates. They aren't held there. It's not a prison. It's not a correction facility or anything. This is them really volunteering to be there because they want to get an education. And believe it or not, of the ones that I talked to when I went and visited this last time, it was right at 70% were going into the military when they got there. So that's where we will fit in. As the enlisted leaders, we're the ones that are able to go and talk to them and say, hey, here, the world is your option. You can go do whatever you want. Take care of this. Do it. So if anyone wants to do that, please let me know. I can get you in touch with the director and everybody. Mentorship program. All right, who's doing the mentorship program that we're all supposed to be doing? Anybody? Okay. Get back to that. That's something that will invest and bring them in, whether you're going from one unit to the next, or whether you're going from new person in, whatever it may be. Get back to the mentorship program.
Senior enlisted active junior officers, that program.
Yes. So I talked to someone here recently. Like I said, I'm sorry, I'm trying to drag this on a little bit. I talked to somebody here recently who got out, and I asked them the question, when you were brought in, who talked to you when you came in? They were like, nobody. I gave my uniform, told me go here, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going to school, this is what I'm having to do. But before they got here, they didn't understand what they were supposed to do when they showed up. So Air, Army, both same. Talk to everybody about this, and it comes up, and they really don't support the sponsorship program the way we should. And it just starts them out on a better foot. There was an article I read recently, and actually, I think Chief Anderson quoted this article as well, that talked about 6 years. So within our 6 years, the troops that sign up for a 6-year enlistment, anybody care to guess what percentage actually stay in after that 6 years? Now this is combined across the forces. Close. So 25% stay in after that 6 years. For various reasons, we all understand that. But if we're signing somebody up for 6 years, this goes back to retention. We spend all that money on them, send them to school, do all the training, give them the uniforms, do everything. You know, we're losing an asset out the door. So sponsorship's part of that. Bring them in the right way. DoD Warrior Games. What that is every year DoD does a Wounded Warrior Games. It's called Warrior Games. It's in San Antonio this next year. I got invited. It's an active duty centric as far as run program. The Marines own it this year. I was actually invited as the senior enlisted leader for the state of Texas. First time they brought the Guard in. The Sergeant Major who from the Marine Corps that's involved in this wants us to support the event. And by support, it doesn't mean you're going to go work. If you want to, you can. But they want us to show up just to cheer on these wounded warriors. That's all it's about. First they thought we could come in and provide security for them and do all this. I'm like, oh, hold on. No, that's you get security paid for. But we can't have people that volunteer to assist, whether it's the warriors, whether it's to assist setting stuff up or doing anything. So socialize that amongst your troops and let them know that this is coming up, because there will be a request for people to support, whether they volunteer or show up. One of the things that they talked about, and I know it's difficult, but if we do AT down there, we go and do AT or do a drill. I know it's not within our scope of what we do, but it's something I thought about, and trying to find out legally if we can do that. Depends on what it is. So, I know that's, I don't know. I'm asking the question though. So if we have units that want to. Okay, E9 quarterly all calls. So what I want to start doing is I'm just going to send out an email saying, hey, this day, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do an E9 all call. And the reason I say that is because I've noticed it as well, that there's a lot of information that I get, Sergeant Major Dyer gets, Chief Castle gets, and even Sergeant Major Turbeville gets, from our own specifics, meetings, things we go to. I know I don't. I don't do very good at passing that out. We might talk about it in person, but it's never codified, it's never sent out, it's never given to you all. So I went back and looked through some notes and talking through some things amongst myself, so I talked to myself. How can I do better at getting that out to you all? Because there's some valuable information. Whether it's the way the force is moving for the future, whether it's the way the Guard is moving for the future. I attend a lot of these conferences. Some of them our SEAs get to attend as well, but some they don't. It's only for the tag and myself. So I want to start doing these quarterly all calls just so you all, if you want to call in, it's not a mandatory thing, that you get to hear in the past quarter some of the things that I've seen, been exposed to, and then they will also have an opportunity to talk about some of the things. They don't know this yet, I just sprung this on them. That they'll also get to talk about some of the things that they see that's going on and where we might need to adjust or what it looks like for the future. So just want to give you a heads up on that. And then my last thing, how many people, based on last year, and I know I didn't really have it lined out, lines of effort, but who really got involved and used some of the things we talked about, innovation, you know, the joint operations. I know Sergeant Major Thompson talked about that a little bit with me on the medical side, trying to get the air involved. And then learning your troops, getting involved a little bit more with it. So did anybody do anything innovation-wise? I'm going to say this real quick. I know on the air side, just so you all know, they get, how much do y'all get a year?
100,000.
100,000 a year per wing, so per brigade. They get to go after innovation, come up with whatever they want, whatever they think they need, whatever they can do. And it could be anything from squadrons out El Paso getting lightweight body armor. That's an innovative thing because what we're issued isn't the lightest, it isn't the best, but it still has the same protective capacity and everything that goes with that. So things like that. And there's others that purchase 3D printers so that they can get after some things. I know it's different, so we're trying to work that piece on the Army side too, with the Army National Guard to come up with how do we get involved and get after this. We have smart soldiers, we have smart airmen. Let's make it come together and how do we work it out. So we talked about that last year. Just curious, did anybody other than the air, any Army soldiers, formations come up with anything that they're doing differently based on what we saw last year? Wow. Okay.
Hey, Chief, just a comment for the Army guys. If you come up with a cool idea, we've got stuff donated. Like we built a cyber lab at 254, but we got somebody donated servers, somebody donated the racks to put it in, the power supplies. So if money is your worry, ask, does somebody have whatever you're looking for? We got all of our stuff for free, and we use our innovation money for all the other stuff we do with money. So lots of people want to give to us. You just gotta ask.
Who's the TOC for that?
Or
For the innovation?
you can come up through Sergeant Major Dyer and myself, and we'll try to figure out what we can do. So Army Futures Command, like I talked about last year, they just stood up. We had no billets on the Army Futures Command as a Guard force. We did have a few people that were kind of hanging out that we detailed over there to get the inside track. Didn't work out so well for us. So now General Langell is engaged with trying to get us Army National Guard billets on the Army Futures Command document. And it's not anything they're against, they love it. It's just how do we fund it? That's the big question. So on the air side, it's been taken out of hide whenever they're working with AFRICs. Well, that's starting to come around too, where they're going, hey, we need to get these added somehow and get this done. So just because you don't have the money or have the funds or whatever's going on, if you have things that might help your force, that you can think of that's an innovative way or an idea, let us know. And one way or another, we'll figure out how we can get to it. And if some of your formations are on the same post or base as your air units, who's to say you can't talk to them and go, hey, this could help all of us.
Hey, Chief, it might be going on longer than I was aware, but certainly Kurt might be able to share how their intel folks are getting some hands-on stuff from here on the Monster site job prep. You know, they actually have a
Yeah.
scenario and there's a video game and this is the person trying to identify what could be happening there.
Do y'all have anything like that? J6? No? No. Okay.
Couldn't hear it, Chief, what did you say, ma'am?
Sergeant Major Hurd,
Yes, sir, ma'am.
can you share what the Intel folks are doing, with that software that contractor came up where they can do some of their skill craft from any secure location since it's unsecured?
Right, sir. I'm in the EMIB, which is all our expeditionary MI soldiers, the ones that are often smarter than their own good. But we had a great exercise during AT where we had a contractor came out and was in essence able to project a video game where soldiers were simulating real-time targeting and BDA and things like that, and they're actually able to come up with a format on non-secure net where soldiers just need the link, they have a login, they can go back home on their own systems and continue the training that they had during the day on NIPR and SIPR net, just on non-secure. But very realistic, soldiers were very engaged, and it was just amazing exercise and opportunity with that content.
So there's ways out there to make things happen, and there's people that try and help you do that. So don't be afraid to reach out. Like I said, you can call me. I'm always there. Got my phone 24 hours a day.
Innovation doesn't always necessarily mean material things and things that cost money. It's very, very likely that you schedule a training schedule out 90 days, and then some last minute passer comes out and it takes that instructor out of it, or NCOs get called. One thing that I developed, I got an 8-step learning model, not the one you're thinking of, but basically there's a class, 8 people in that class, break that class down into 8 things. They got 45 minutes to learn everything they can about it. And then they come back together and they discuss it and they kind of test it out. And then also with problem solving, MDM process is fine if you got a bunch of officers that are highly educated and know what they're doing. But a lot of times in the NCO Corps, the highest ranking one or the loudest mouth extrovert ends up ruling the process. So if I've got resident experts, but they're lower enlisted, I will send them to 8 different places. They'll come up with their own solution, and they'll come back and be amazed at the variety of options that they come back with. So just thinking out of the box, and not all innovation means $1 million purchase.
Well, and how do we get to yes instead of no, you can't do that? That's a huge part of this. How do we get to yes? And what's, clearing those obstacles, contracting wise, and all. How do we get to yes?
Okay. Last thing I'll leave you with is this right here. So, one of the big topics at the called GSLIC, Guard Senior Leaders Conference that just came from a few weeks ago, General Engel, this is what he said. Be aware our lack of judgment can end your career a lot sooner and easier than any battlefield injury. And the reason I say that is because in meeting with JAG, IG, that I do, we're starting to see an uptick in complaints about us. And a lot of it is substantiated. Because some of the decisions, some of the things that you were doing that are not in line with our organizational priorities, our regulations, our instructions. So think about that when you're out visiting your formation, you're talking to them. You have somebody that comes up, has an issue, you're not handling the right way. That's what we get after you, right there. A lot easier. So that's all I have. Anybody have any questions before we break real quick?
Hey, I've got 3 opportunities for people. So if you'll just indulge.
Yeah.
Okay, so first opportunity, we are in the planning stages of, first of all, let me ask you this question. Raise your hand if you got soldiers on the board. Okay, put your hands down. Have you visited them? Okay. If you have not, I'm providing you an opportunity right now. Thanksgiving Day, we are going to go to the border. If you want to go, get with me, let me know so we can arrange it, okay? We want to cover from Brownsville to El Paso. We want to visit all the soldiers, okay? And we understand that it's Thanksgiving, so it'll be minimum people out there, right? But let them know that we care, right? Okay.
And that's for the air as well.
Absolutely.
So you have airmen that are down there, just for you too.
Second opportunity I got for you is this time next year, the division will deploy. So if you have soldiers that want to deploy, have not deployed, let me know, and we'll work with them, okay? All right, third opportunity I have for you. If you ran the Army 10 miler or participated in the Army 10 miler, stand up. Okay, great job for representing Texas and the rest of us here. March 15th, 2020, there's a baton memorial. Okay, it's a marathon. Run it if you want to. I don't care, but most people are just going to ruck it. If you want to participate in that also, just get with me, and we'll make it happen for you. I think right now there's 5 of us.
Sir Major, there's also a memorial walk that's 14.2 miles. Don't forget about that.
Okay.
That's a lot better than
March 15th. And if you're interested in the Cowtown Marathon, that's the 1st of March also. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, no, I appreciate that because I did forget to talk about it. So Sergeant Major Horn, Sergeant Major Dyer, and some of the others that were part of that Army 10 miler. The goal, we were trying to do this year was we were trying to do joints. We're trying to get back to joint stuff. So we were trying to get air, and I failed on that part because I never really brought it up over to Chief Castle so that we could see if anybody's interested. So glad you went there. Appreciate it. But we're going to start trying to look at doing more of that. And they were sponsored by NGAT, some of it, not all of it. Where NGAT had some money.
Recruiting, where are you at?
Yeah, recruiting.
There you go,
brother.
right there. Yeah, they really stepped up and provided them. But the intent is to get us moving, especially the traditional people, because, we don't PT like we should. But if you got something that you're working towards, like this, you got on a training program, you stuck to it, or you really sucked at the Army 10 mile. And none of these people did. I'll tell you that right now. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks. So that's something we're looking at. There's also on the Air Force side, there's the Air Force Marathon that they do. It's the same way. It's not the same as the Army 10 miler, but it's things we're looking at. We're trying to come together and do more of the healthy lifestyle, really start us looking at things differently. So appreciate you for reminding me about that. Okay, so let's take a 10-minute break real quick. And so 45, be back in here, and that way we'll get the GX started. So we can at least get them going before the pay.
Healthy lifestyle, there's tacos and donuts in the back.
Okay. I was supposed to get okay.
So for the air side,
Okay.
G series, Keith will be there. First sergeant.
Yes,
And
we're
then-
bringing first on.
Like the light,
Did they change them? So we gotta get clarified.
no, it's also.
Okay. I'll look at it.
We're having an E9.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I was like,
Well, so it's gonna be staggered, correct, it's gonna be staggered. So at first, like I said, it is gonna be 06 level, which is your group sheets and above.
Okay.
And then we're going to have our E9 also. So that planning phase hasn't been completed.
Okay, we'll finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're still gonna say I get it approved to say we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
That's
No,
all.
I'm gonna see it.
Sergeant Major Mark's on.
I'm in the station, and we got a tiger thing going out. And there's technicians, and they're doing and they're lower ranking, like sergeant, highest guys, active guys. So they go out to do it, so that they won't get any pushback from the brigade because their rank and so they got that. So I come on board and I'm good with that, but we need to have some type of uniformity. So they're going out there, they whatever they had and something. I give you a long story to come up with. We need like t-shirts. Now I bought 3 t-shirts that I've got from the for whatever reason they have t-shirts. A thick shirt and so I'm asking, you guys have anything how t-shirts not this well right now my team is on the
Yeah, I personally don't know what our marketing has right now, but we can definitely get together.
yeah, just I mean, whatever you have to normally national section on national guard on that, and that would be I brought so they were figuring out how to fund it and they were getting a warehouse
We grew from 96 recruiters to 188. So we're recruiting as well, like right now. But, it's the beginning of the new fiscal year. There will be money trickling in. So, I'm pretty sure we can. I just don't know what it is. Most of the stuff in our city is down to like part it sounds like 80% from the self-employed. So, we don't have a surplus
so like the shirts that I've gotten over the years, I don't know if they were targeted.
They weren't. Because you guys were about so we kind of went away from them. So what's a good accountability? So starting this is we put region one, hey, way to get after it, we're gonna do a regional one at a time. So it's surplus like we used to. Not that it's not doable, it's just
Well, I would give a call and see what we can come up with. So that's my whole thing because I don't want my guys going out there, looking at they need a uniform, and this whole thing about not wearing uniform, the whole thing.
Our receivers don't, so they don't wear this. Probably realistic.
But that's what I'm talking about. If it's where for me, so I can't control what you got in your closet. I can control if I give you this is what you're gonna wear. I got full control over that. The whole thing I'm new to the bringing command emphasis to that is that's a whole nother story, right? So the fact that I'm trying to give them a focus on a particular thing instead of them go out there and show up to a unit talking about, hey, I'm from the J6, I'm a fire team. And they got one dude got on jersey, the other dude got on a flannel shirt and shit like that. So I'm trying to prevent that. Okay, well I know we I look at the number. Well, but yeah, the next yep. Good deal, right?
I don't know what started this year. We didn't get 1.2.
Primary concern is, once again, a great show of good faith as far as this organization is concerned with. Yeah, so anyway, continue.
So, speaking of challenges, we as National Guard, we face a very big challenge of being a civilian for 28 days of the month, and then a military personnel, a soldier, for 2 days. And speaking of the challenges, the first one that we were identified was the training. We found out that the training are not often structured to provide what the soldier needs. Soldiers are more often left with ideal time. It might, by the time that comes to you on the paper, it looks perfect. However, in reality, a lot of times we be left with nothing, or we attend training that we don't get to use. So I think we definitely need to look into more MOS specific training that enhance the skills and sharpen the skills of the soldiers. Also, we've seen it a lot of time, instructors don't show up. They get pulled up for different reasons. And I think having a plan B that will cover up that time, that should better.
You have any data or information on soldiers who did not re-enlist because they said, I never get to do my job?
So this is an interesting point, and we'll, like, this is gonna, I think, read it. I was gonna tell you right from here. Sorry. I'm really glad you brought that up, because and essentially, like, everybody's job is to make sure that our training is efficient. Like, two days a month, it's probably not going away. That's kind of the way we're at. And so as somebody who came from active duty and like knows kind of the more continuous training cycle, if we have to ask ourselves, how can we stay efficient? And how do we make sure that those people get that training? And I think now, I guarantee every single one of you have had experience with this. You show up, you have a good, solid idea of what you want to train your soldiers on, what you care about, and you show up and it just doesn't manifest that weekend because the motor pool or what happened, like just the umpteen things that can possibly happen when you get like 600 soldiers together because everything goes wrong. But and frankly, we need to figure out ways to lessen that burden and lessen that immediate burden on
not only you guys or, you know, people directly underneath you were born, but it's not necessarily you guys who are going to suffer. It's Private Snuffy who's, for whatever reason, he's an infantryman, but he's changing tires for the first 7 months of drill. And then, like, suddenly he's, you know, going to Egypt or doing this. And, like, going back to those kind of core principles that I want to highlight at the beginning of the soldier lethality thing, is Private Snuffy is going to get there, and quite literally possibly to any combat zone, with the National Guard making up such a large percentage of kind of the broader military force. But if all he knows how to do is change a tire, and he's screwed. Like, honestly, he's screwed. And that's not okay, and that's something that needs to be addressed. So while, yes, we will in general have problems kind of this level, that's the person that needs this efficiency and needs this problem solving most. And I think that's, go ahead.
Did your group have any input from the enlisted soldiers as far as suggestions?
Yes, Sergeant Major. So, go ahead.
Okay. So, I actually did a lot of thinking about this problem and what has to stay in this idea of like 2 days a month, and what doesn't. Well, what isn't built into that? And this idea of maybe a fraction or a graduated training program, which was essentially, what if your entire unit doesn't have to go for that first weekend of that month, but instead you stagger it. You stagger it in a cycle that, when going through this kind of thought experiment of whether or not this would work, I thought back to the red, white, and blue cycle that I was most familiar with. When I was an active duty, I was stationed in Fairbanks, Alaska, Fort Wainwright. And here's the thing, when I'm trying to solve this problem and really thinking about it, you think, well, when it was -30 for 6 months, that is, I guess, a giant reduction in training time. And were those soldiers any less competent? And I was like, no, not that, you know, that I saw, like, that I didn't see soldiers from other units who weren't there. So what did we do to make it more efficient? And part of that realization was like, well, we had a really kind of built-in training mechanism that like made sure the time that we used was efficient. And particularly, like we talked about earlier, I was going to change the tire, right? That, if he has a good NCO, if he has a good E5 and an E6, like, yeah, he's changing the tire for the first 3 days, but at some point, like, he's like, okay, we have to learn how to fill one alpha like yesterday, and we're going to go do that. And so that's why this idea of fractionless training schedule could possibly be a solution for it. And fortunately, it's I did write one. It's unbelievably long and beyond the scope of
another couple of suggestions. One of the sergeant majors mentioned the contractor who developed the new software that gives the soldiers the ability to continue training at home. I think this is something, it was a success when they did it, and I think it's best to do to share best practices. So if that's an idea that we can take, that would be ideal. That would be fantastic. If we can continue training you online, and that would sharpen our skills. That's one thing. The other thing, the chief talked about the shotgun when selecting the soldiers to go to training. Who wants to go to this training by raising hands and just send them just to fill in that spot. It would be more of, what's your MOS? What do you need to do? Let's go ahead and send this particular soldier. By studying the soldiers, knowing what that soldier's object, what their goal, how long they're planning on staying in the military.
And then you asked about the numbers, Sergeant Major LaMonica. We have those, we track them. We're trying to get them so that we can let everybody know. So I know Sergeant Major Carrick and Chief Castle's trying to get those for us right now for both branches.
I've been troubleshooting this issue for a long time, and I've got my colonel. He typed up a policy. He's going to sign it this week. It took a long time to get here. But what I've done as Brigade Sergeant Major is I lock down the damn UMR. And you got to have the company commander's permission for E1 to E4 to do something that's not in their out of their normal world. E5s and E6s has to have the battalion sergeant major, and 7s through 9s have to have my permission. So they can stop, because right now when you go to an armory, 5% of people are doing everything. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's a true number. and 95% of the people are sitting around texting, bitching, complaining, starting rumors in the shadows. So by locking down that UMR, it's going to force them to do their job or find a new home. But it's just so easy to find a competent person instead of training somebody to be competent.
And I think that, I honestly think it's a really good point. I'm kind of glad you brought this up. And not necessarily just for the, intrinsic reason.
Well, but also what happens, not to cut you off, those competent people get tired of it. That 5% gets tired of it. When they get out of the damn military, then we become weaker as a whole.
In general, though, I want to speak broadly about what he just said there, and that's, hey, look at this kind of he had to take a policy that you just said took forever to get into action, UMR, that you had to lock down. If we say genuinely that soldier lethality is our number one priority, and we do kind of hide behind red tape and end up being less so because of it, that's an issue. And somebody in here is gonna, is or will continue to be leaders in the military. And so just kind of keep that in mind. If we both say, well, our number one strategic goal is soldier lethality, and yet we hamstring ourselves, that's an issue. And constantly working to fix that, obviously, I'm an equal work. Congressman not to listen, but that is, yes, sir.
I just had a question on IDT logic. Did y'all get any feedback on that, primarily on the Army side, and any recommendations that they might have talked about?
I'm familiar with IDT logic.
So are y'all getting lodging? Is lodging not receiving lodging during IDT? Is it a
Oh yeah, no. So I know the Army National Guard, I do not believe does that. I was told it.
So I can talk real quick about that, just real quick. So I have talked to NGB. They are doing a beta test right now with a couple of states and being able to make this happen. They funded them some money, or funneled them some money. Wisconsin's one of them. I'm talking to the Wisconsin C-Cell to see how they got in it, first off, because I've been asking this question since I got in this position, believe it or not. And then secondly, how is it being facilitated? So trying to work that right now, but there's some, from an innovation, there's some ways forward. We might be able to do some things too. I'm trying to work those. More to come is all I can tell you. We're not there yet, but I'm really trying to get there because it's not fair for our soldiers who show up for IDT that don't have a place to stay. They either stay in the armory, their car, or whatever, and they can't just decompress and get away. So, got more on that coming. Sorry, man.
Thank you, Chief. The Junior Enlisted Advisory Council just started about 4 months ago, so it's new established. We had our first face-to-face meeting back in August 8th. So we're still developing, we're still learning, we're still trying to meet with other junior enlisted to hear their opinion and take their recommendations.
All right. Junior enlisted. Okay. So the next portion is going to be benefits, tuition assistance, and this portion I just have actually a lot to say on this. When no one else is here, command chief council.
Yes.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. So command chief council came to talk to us in August for the Janet council, and one of the things we immediately talked about education and educational benefits. So it's a reason that a lot of people join. Like, some people. It's a reason a large majority of even people within a lot of your residence formations are in. And in the first place, what have you. But there is kind of a lot of it. Has anybody tried to get tuition assistance? Has anybody tried? How hard was it? It was a process. Okay, if you're that process, now if you're private snuffing, think about it. If you're private snuffing, because that's part of the concept, right? So thinking about that, how difficult is that? For that guy to do more, it's not easy. It cannot. How many people, like, who did you ask? You didn't know. Who did you ask? Who did you ask, like, how do you do it?
But we had a friend of being a student, and he kind of escorted me through the process.
Through the process. Did anybody else attempt UTS? Nope. Oh, yeah.
I ended up having to talk to the civilian education guy here at Camp Avery, because it was a process, and this was back in these stone tablets for reference for you. I'm just kidding. But there wasn't all the computer, all of that stuff. But yeah, it is a process and very confusing.
How many people would you guys think? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so I can talk to this as from two different perspectives. One as a dad, and also as dad of two soldiers in the Army Guard. It's impossible. My daughters call their units all the time, and they're not in Texas, but they're in Oklahoma. And I get what you're saying. It is from an E1 to get somebody in their unit to do my daughter paperwork, to get their benefits done. It's mind-boggling. It literally took her ROTC unit sergeant to do her work for her, right? So, what you're saying is a big deal.
And thank you, I appreciate that. I don't think it's okay, and not just on the principle of the idea of benefits, but on the principle of the idea that says educated militaries are stronger. Educated militaries just historically win a lot more honors. And going, like I have to say, going back to this idea, this principle that we laid out at the beginning, relevancy, social lethality, these big principles that senior members brought to us and said, you know, essentially these are our values. These are the things that we value strategically that need to happen. These are the reasons we're instituting the policies that we are. And if you simultaneously shoehorn one of the best ways of doing that, or don't provide it, it's incompatible with its own dogma. Like
Make it more simple than that. A soldier was promised something when they signed the dotted line and not get it.
And that's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Theoretically, though, the lawmaker might go and be like, well, he could do it. And that's what that soldier could be able to go get it. And as someone who has jumped through the process of getting TS like that, we'll get to kind of the solution set.
The issue is the initial setup in the education system, but once it's set up, is it easier?
No. It's actually
now, we're talking brick and mortar, we're talking online.
We're talking.
Because I know online, once you set the Army.ed, it takes 3 minutes.
Requires you to have a 17-digit password with, let's see, 2 numbers, 4 special characters. Nothing could be linear or sequential, so 1, 2, 3, 4, or 7, 6, you know. There's a lot of different things for it. So, I don't want to spend too much time on that portion. Yes.
Okay, we're gonna take a break real quick. Okay, just let next person comes up and talk. So, you know, this is important to us to have this conference or workshop every year. And one of the best things, me being in this position as an air guy, and having now General Norris, who is the tag as an Army, helps me see things in a different perspective, and I think it does the same for her. It gives her the opportunity to look at me sometimes and go, is this really the way it's done in the air side? So, she is, for those of y'all that don't really know her that well, she is your biggest proponent. She's out there fighting every day, not just for you, but for all the soldiers, airmen, state guardsmen, and civilians we have in our department. She's making things happen. She wants it done quickly. So sometimes you might see something come down that all of a sudden the next day it's already done. So be ready. Hold on. She's fast-paced. She's forward-thinking. But she is a very good leader for us to have in the Texas Military Department. And without further ado, my teammate, Major General Tracy Norris, the Adjutant General.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Anybody else wear extra waffle shirt or anything today? It's free.
go wherever you want.
I feel too tall. Okay. So how's it going? You guys just started this morning, right? So this week, starting Wednesday, is it Wednesday we started? For this weekend?
Yes, ma'am.
Because in October, you always wait till the end in case you have a CR. Yeah, but we do have a CR till what, November 21st? So we had the Air Executive Council still ending today, which is all the 06s and staff from the Air National Guard. We have the commander's call starting Saturday, which is the Army. They're actually going to do their meeting over at the FMS at ABIA. And we're going to have shop chiefs there and things like that. The medical conference, which is up to about 350 people now. Medical conference started today, I think, with the 68 whiskeys, and then tomorrow everybody comes in. They're going to have their medical conference, which our NGB comes down and participates with that. And then we have our E9, right? So you guys call it E9, right? So anyway, so it's, I mean, to me it's huge. All those things, bringing everybody together, so everybody can get with your peer group what the common operating picture is and what's going on. So what have you guys talked about already?
Lines of effort.
What?
Lines of effort.
Lines of effort? And what are lines of effort?
Retention.
Okay.
That's number one.
Okay. Oh, cool. So it is retention, and then I'll tell you, I'll go real quickly, just tell you some of the things that are happening at my level, and actually engaging other states and stuff. But first of all, retention. We did a great job. Air Guard came out at like 104%. Army Guard, we were #1, of course, in the nation, but also we overdrove for some other states that weren't making it, as usual. But we were more, what's the word for your
Awesome.
awesome, yeah, you're awesome, of course, it's every day. But we were we did more than they really asked us to do. So we were more liberal about it, because it was very important for the Army Guard to make end strength. The Army Reserve did not, but the Army did for the first time in like 5 years. So, so anyway, so that's good, because we had to make mission. I think a couple years ago, the Army National Guard did not make mission. And then we also have our State Guard, where we're growing the State Guard based on where the governor wants to go. So retention is #1, and we're going to put more resources towards that on the Air Guard. I know they've got more recruiters coming in. General Farrell's done that. As well as on the Army side, you're going to get more retention resources coming to your units, really at the brigade level right now. So my deal is on that is if you are a command sergeant major, especially at the brigade level, those resources are for retention, and that they need to have direct access to you and to your commander for the retention purposes. We are also talking about, and this is not necessarily on the air side, but on the Army side, I looked at Tennessee, and they do a reverse RSP. Does everybody know what the RSP program is? For our training pipeline, they come, thank you for raising your hand. Our training pipeline, they go into the RSP program, so we focus them on going to basic and AIT. And then in the Air Guard, you guys have your
student flight.
Yeah, student flight, that's it. So I'm learning all that stuff. I'm having to learn Air Guard after 33 years of Army. But doing a reverse RSP, and I haven't talked to the Air Guard about it, but it still might be a good idea for both components. But actually bringing in the soldier who's getting ready to get out ETS with their spouse and going through, like, okay, you realize these are the benefits that you get, and go through everything with them so they understand what they're walking away from. And actually in Tennessee is being very successful. So they're actually getting about 40% back when they're doing this reverse RSP, and they're doing it regionally. So we're looking at that to maybe implement that in 21. I'm not going to try to shove it down everybody's throat in 2020, but because
again, on retention, the way I look at it is I look at how many dollars have been spent on that person, especially what flavor they are. I mean, we have flavors that we can't keep. Well, I mean, I'll tell you, I'm kind of getting on a roll here. I didn't mean to do this, but when I was an engineer brigade commander, we have 9 brigades in the Army side, and every single E8 position that was signaled was vacant except one. So that's what retention is. We weren't making that happen. So that's why retention, because when you go and you spend $500,000 or $750,000 on a soldier, especially because the schools they went to, and then you just, as a commander or a command sergeant major, or even staff sergeant major, you let that person walk out the door. I mean, no one looks at it as a dollar figure. And then how long does it take to make that E7 or E6? It takes years. I mean, so you're talking about having to go without that talent for 6 or 7 years before you can get it back. And then there may be somebody sitting right behind them ready to come in and take it. But especially our A team and our B+ team that can become the A- team. Because sometimes it's good to take the B team and make them an A team. But that really does hurt. So taking a moment, being with that soldier or airman, and getting the down low. I think on the Air Guard side, you guys actually have a counselor they go see before they get out.
Yes.
And it's a position. It's not like an additional duty, right?
It is. It's an additional duty, but they don't do their duty on drill weekend.
That's it. Very good. That's it. I learned that yesterday, so I haven't retained it yet.
But you also have your unit career advisors who are the first line trying to retain them.
But yesterday, sitting in the executive council, all our Air Guard guys were saying that by the time they get to the rock, then they're already pretty much made up their mind. And we know that on the Army side too. But I would ask you to look, especially where we have some very complex, to me I say complex, because they probably, the guys that have a top secret clearance, MI, signal, it just takes forever to build them, cyber. And I'm not trying to play favorites, I'm just telling you those ones that are hard to make. Some of our 25 Sierras, the satellite guys, and it's in the Air Guard too, because I've heard they can stay in that student flight for 3 years before they get through all their school, and then they're finally an active person in the unit. So it's very important to look at it that way. So I ask you to, maybe you like to look at it a different way, but when you come down to the dollars that are walking out the door, and the institutional knowledge and the experience, and it takes a long time to get that back. So that's my retention spiel. And in 20, we're going to be more on retention. Actually, Saturday we're talking to the Army on the Army side, to all the brigade commanders, 06s and above that are coming in, and retention. And you're going to start hearing more lethality, soldier lethality, but within that is retention, because it's about retaining that soldier or airman that we've given all this stuff to. They need, we still need that talent, and that's also people coming off active duty. Bringing those in, because a lot of money has been spent on them. If they can come into the Guard, Army, or Air, or even the State Guard, then that's we retain those skills within our military. Okay, I'm going to say a couple more things, and then I actually want to ask you guys I'd like you to ask me some questions. So one of the big things, and we're actually getting momentum behind. Talk up at this level, and this again is why it's important on the retention piece, is I've already had 2 states approach me, actually they're adjutant generals, about having a serious conversation about bringing armor back to Texas. That does not mean that we are going to get rid of our IVCTs, but that means there's going to be a conversation, so maybe we get some more diverse force structure in the combat arms in Texas. So that is a serious conversation that is happening. Let's see. program, how many, this I'm talking Army, and then I'll go over to the Air Guard. And then I'll talk about the State Guard. We have State Guard in here, right? This is everybody, right? All right. AEP on the Army side. Everybody familiar with AEP? Associated Unit Program? Okay, so it sunsetted. It was a 3-year beta test that General Milley had started. It sunsetted. But the only one that we are going to work to maintain is the 143rd with the 173rd. Because that's, that airborne needs to be with airborne. And so we're going to work that through all the right places in order to keep that relationship. So, but even though NGB is trying to make that the 3rd battalion of the 56, that's not what we're going to let happen. And I know 173rd Brigade Commander and some others are all about keeping that relationship. So just so that's straight, if any rumors go around out here, do we have any of it? Do we have the 143rd? Anybody? Okay. Let's see what else. Those are the big ones right now. DeVarty, there's a DeVarty out there. DeVartys are going to come back. There's a DeVarty that's going to be stationed probably this year, 2020. I say station, they're going to decide where it's going to go. I think it's between Texas and Minnesota. We've already told NGB that we can man that DeVarty right now. So we're building a ghost DeVarty on piece of paper. So that would also come back for 36 ID and make that, we're going back to what divisions used to look like if you guys aren't familiar with everything that is going on with the, have you discussed like the nuclear competitor, just the overall strategy? Because really it's Russia and China and Iran and then the terrorists, BEOs. So that should happen. Also, another thing that's going on in the Army, there's 8 divisions in the National Guard. There's 10 on active duty. General Hoganson, who's the new director of the Army National Guard, we're going back to division alignments. So for the 36 ID, the Tennessee Brigade will be aligned with 36 ID, 278, and then the Sustainment Brigade out of New Mexico is also going to be aligned with 36 ID. So the thing I just left our talent management meeting at the GO level, it's all the GOs. And what we're already talking about, at least on the officer level, and I would say at some point, you guys need to talk about it on the probably senior NCO level, is we're already talking about how do we take Tennessee and New Mexico and where those senior leaders have people that they want to like go do division time or do a brigade time, how do we integrate them into our selection process so they can have that experience? Because the biggest force structure they have is that brigade, those 2 brigades in both of those states. And one of the things that has been talked about amongst all the states on the Army side is that we've got, as an organization, an enterprise, National Guard, we have to grow division senior leaders. Because there are states, like Kansas has a 35th Infantry Division, they have no IBCT for anybody to command or be a command sergeant major in order to feed into the division. And that's been coming under a lot of scrutiny, and if we want to keep our 8 divisions in the Army, that's the thing we're going to have to do. Talent management. I don't know, has anybody heard General McConville, the new Chief of Staff of the Army? No? Go on YouTube and Google it. An Eisenhower Luncheon is probably a good one. We just had that at AUSA, the Association of United States Army. And he talks, he's the new Chief of Staff of the Army, and he lays out where we're going, because we're going back to, you guys know Creatures Command right down the road, we're going back to a whole big modernization of the Army. And a big part of that is number 1 priority. What do you think his number 1 priority is? He actually caught up with Texas, in my opinion. People. Number 1 is people and talent management. And we're already doing that. We're gonna, I think, the Command Sergeant Major and Command Chief we've talked to about on the officer side how we have the box and stuff. This would not to interfere with the EPS selection or anything, but how do we do more talent management? Is especially at our E6, E7, and make sure people are going and getting the right assignments in order to grow up and be a first sergeant, sergeant major, and a command sergeant major. So, did I say that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So talent management and people. So that's kind of where the Army is. Is there any questions on that, or am I talking straight? Do you understand what I'm saying? I have a tendency not to. I don't think I babble. Sometimes I'm not as articulate as some others.
Is there a timeline discussed about the Tennessee and New Mexico potential with the sustainment agency team?
Actually, what I'm going to reach out to both of those. Major General Jeff Holmes is Tennessee TAG. We have a great relationship. And Major General Nava, New Mexico. I'm going to reach out to them, and our next senior leader management board is in March. And we're going to go ahead and try to wrap them, go talk to them and see if they want to submit some people for selection at that point. Because the Guard's trying to go there, I think. There's a lot of states that are understanding this and want to do it. But what our discussion just was, and it's hot off the press, is if we don't lean forward and start it, it's not going to get momentum behind it. And actually, that's kind of my philosophy. I heard Command Chief say it, but I'm about, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and then we go ahead and let's do it. Who are the people involved? How do we get momentum? Because once you get momentum, everybody knows, right? It just it starts taking care of itself. I mean, people get involved and things happen, so and that's the part I love about the military. So that is on the Army side. If anybody's got any questions about that, I'll still take questions in a minute. Let's talk about the Air Guard side. Still, really on the Air Guard side is about retention for me. And it's also about, which is kind of hard, is they have one squadron, ASI squadron that is strength is low, that's their special forces. And we're going to try to do something, I want to do something with that to try to get some strength up in there. But actually, our Air Guard is looking really good. Our most important thing on the Air Guard is C-130Js. Being a medical detachment for the Dallas-Fort Worth area that works with those C-130s. Also, we talked to our delegation about eventually maybe foreign military sales training for the F-35 to come to San Antonio, because our F-16 unit down there that teaches all the pilots. And also there's an F-16 active duty unit out there that might get stationed in San Antonio also. But I've heard from one extreme to the other, they can take it, everything's good, but then the other side, at the congressional level, they're hearing that's probably not what's going to happen. So, but also, again, on the Air Guard side, and what I talked about on the Army side is the same, is, the number 2 after people is remaining relevant and ready. So when we lose our relevance, then the higher level or the active component pretty much can become a low-hanging fruit for cuts, basically, if we don't stay relevant and ready. So that's like the F-16s. That's why we want that F-16 unit to come in, because those are, what letter are those F-16s? The new.
Yeah, the block.
The one.
I think those are the block 40s.
The block 40s, and then we have block 30s, and those are like the oldest F-16s in the Air Force, right? So even though that is one of the best units, I think, in the Air Force is our F-16 unit, just for what they do. The amount of hours and things those guys have, it's outstanding. So eventually trying to get F-16s that are more current, so we don't become a target down the road, is a priority. And how we're going about that is one of those things we're working through. I don't say the system, but bureaucracy. And then we have, so some of this is on, we have the Reapers, MQ-9s down in Ellington now, which is a huge, any Air Force or Air Guard person in here can correct me, but when the UASs, came in the Air Force, nobody wanted to do that, right?
That's true.
Now the kids coming in, that's what they want to do. So isn't that that's very good, because it first it was going to be a dog unit maybe, but now everyone's like, no, that's where everybody wants to go. So, okay. A couple other things everyone knew, we got about 2,200 soldiers and airmen on the border. So I expect that mission to continue unless we get a new president that says that's not going to be a mission for the Guard. We have almost 300 Georgian Army National Guardsmen coming to help us. They showed up. They're going to do cameras on the border, actually taking over active duty cameras. So we have a lot going on down there. Let's see what else I got. Okay, any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
It's a little out of line from the topics that you brought up, but it's a concern. So until last week, our stabilization ratio after mobilization was 1 month to everyone, bonus, and then I heard that last week it was just approved that now it'll be 5 months to everyone. So we're starting to, I'm at the Division G1, we're starting to run out of soldiers to fill the mobilizations that we have coming up, and we're having to do more and more hazmats to NGB. Has the Army or has Texas thought of a fix for this? We have soldiers in the training pipeline, but for the MOSs that were short, those are long schools, they're schools that are harder to get. And then we're showing shortages in the senior NCO levels that, like you brought up in your teaching.
So I'm going to answer you backwards of how you asked me. So first of all, senior NCO problem, that is our problem. We've got to own that. We've got to get these guys in school, guys and gals. We've got to grow some more senior NCOs. And I mean, it's the same on with captains and majors, because everybody can leave about the time they're captain. Everybody can leave about the time they're an E6, E5 senior, and so we're not getting the E7s and the E8s we need. And that's a problem. I mean, so that's why I'm, not as excited about it maybe as I should, but that's because I worry about it all the time, because we have this gap. So that means there's going to be vacancies like the E8 signal I mentioned. There's going to be vacancies in E8, so there'll be vacancies for command sergeant majors. I mean, you don't want a command sergeant major in a battalion or a brigade for like 6 years because there's not anybody. I mean, that just becomes stagnant, and that becomes not healthy. So it goes back to the talent management thing. Who is the E5 and the E6? You see these guys every day. Who passed it to be a sergeant major? I mean, you got to pick that person, and then just, it doesn't have to be official mentorship or anything, but you help that person get along if they're running into a roadblock. I mean, you get the guys that can fix it, and you guys have enough network here that you know who to go to get that fixed. And so we just got to do that. I'm telling you, this worries me a lot. Now, a way to fix it, one of the ways, besides what I just said, is getting ourselves more healthy, is also looking at other state relationships, especially for mode. If there's a senior MI or somebody that would want to go and get that experience, I'll use the division. Only certain states have a division, so only a certain group of people get that experience. And one of the things that have been found is that when they started interviewing now for the deputy commanders, I'm sure this is probably as much in the NCO level, but when they've interviewed, like for the deputy commanders of the divisions, like the 29, they interviewed a brigade commander of IVCT, but he had no experience on division staff. I mean, that's a significant thing. So on the deployments, let me tell you right now, Texas, in the past, up until not the deployments that were NOS for, but there's a deployment that's on the table right now that they brought to me, that J3 has, and I'm like, we're not going to do it. So up until now, we really have not said that we're not going to do deployments. And the reason this is a deployment, it's just going to break the unit. It doesn't make sense the way they're taking the active duty mission, punting it over to the Guard, wanting like a battalion headquarters in 2 companies. So they'll go out here and say we're not going to do it, because there's a strategy with NGB on this, because we haven't said no yet, but we're not going to do it. The other part, I'll take the division for example. we don't have all the signal people we need, and we can't take everybody out of the J6. And we shouldn't have one warrant officer, which we do, signal warrant. There's a lot of them out there, but there's one of them that we're fighting over. But of course, there's really no fight because we know who wins. So, what a great opportunity to slice out a piece of the G6. And this is Colonel Cook's plan. I don't know if you guys have coordinated. Figure out what is the slice of the G6 in division that we want to go talk to another state, not necessarily going through the Bureau in the beginning, but go talk to another state. Hey, here's a section. Do you want your signal guys to go get this division level experience on this deployment? And try to fill in like that, and we're doing something for that other state. We did this before when we did the MI battalion a long time ago. I think we took like a company from Washington State or something. But we got to get back to doing that, and working with some other states to do some fills, especially with those MIC pods. I mean, the MIC pods are really a great opportunity for another state to get their people some division experience. But I tell you, we have to take care of them because in other places, not Texas, with First ID and with First CAB, they take our MIG pod forward. In other places, they're letting them sit back at the base and it's not a good experience, but we're going to make sure we have that relationship as they go forward. So I would ask you to work with the J1, Colonel Cook, because her and I talked about this. I haven't come back around, though, to see if anything's been talked about. What does that slice look like? So we could do the same with the MI, and I know the signal battalion's going out right after that. So and that's why I keep talking signal, because the division goes out like in November, then that our expeditionary signal battalion goes out the next month. And then I've sat down with the J6 and we've looked through. I have a list that I got to go with General Hamilton. It's either you get one or the other. You don't get them both. So I've got that list. And so again, on the signal, we give it Colonel Cook, because I think her idea of taking a slice and going to other states and see if they want to participate and get some good experience. I think for both of those units, it's a good idea. And we talked about, and we told them about the fitness. Does everybody know about the app, the fitness app? Okay. I've used it twice. I gotta get better in gear and use it more. The next time you see me and I'm do this talk again, you need to ask me if I'm doing it on the app. CCIRs, I just want to enforce. It's not necessarily anybody in this room, but I think some of the units still are having, this is all across the board, Air Guard and Army, and the State Guard. CCIRs, if you don't have them, well, they're posted, and also those need to go to the JOC. So our JOC, I want to tell you, when I took over as a TAG, I went right into the state session. So it was about 5 months before I kind of got to pull my head above water and start looking at how I'm used to things running. So if anyone doesn't know, I was the Chief of Staff of Division for 3 years, and I deployed with the division as the chief. So that's my sense of, that's my experience. So that's what I go to with how I like to run operations. So our job before, because we did a switch between DOMOPS, and then we became, put the DOMOPS back into a mission and didn't have necessarily a DOMOPS task force. So by that time, I think I should be able to go to the JOC and find out anything that's going on. Find out where I have troops across the world, airmen, State Guard, what my border looks like. I should go in there, and there should be either a battle NCO or a battle captain, battle major, chops, that can tell me what's going on. And then also sometimes they run down to my office, and they do now, they have a card to get in, and they say, ma'am, this is happening, or I get a phone call, which I did. I got a phone call the other night when we had a DUI lady run through the gate at Martindale and drive around our taxiway. So, or we have I can't think of Air Guard, but you guys haven't had anything weird lately. If you do, do. I don't know about it, so tell me about this day. But everything feeds into that jock, and then also we have a WhatsApp that also can get everybody informed at the right level. Because why it's important, first of all, is accountability. We know what's happening with our people, and if they're going and they're coming back, especially when they go overseas or even go to the border and things like that. But it's also, if something happens, there's a group of people. When I say that's leaders that everybody's on the same sheet of music at that time. So you don't spend 2 hours trying to spin everybody up on how we got to where we are and what's happened. And that way, the reaction for whatever we need to do, if it's for somebody, for a unit, for a family, it's a much quicker reaction. So that's important. And situational awareness gets way overused, but I really did struggle with situational awareness of what we were going on as an organization until we got the job running like it is. And it's I don't know if you've taken them in there and showed them. You might want to take them in there and show them the INO briefing that we get every week. But so that's really important, just as a general rule. So I'm telling you the why, because I did rip some people out of units and put them in the job because I wanted the job work in the way that I want it to work and how I think, just so I could be able to react quicker to anything that we needed to do. So, anyway, so Sergeant Major Morrow is the one that made me remember to tell all you guys that, because I ripped him out of his unit and put him in the job. So that was my fault. If anybody has a problem with that.
Is there any discussion about population in the area?
I'm sorry, King.
Is there any more discussion or any discussion increasing the DSG population in the area, especially down the center?
You mean increasing the
numbers?
Oh, every day.
We went through a conversion and we increased the technician and AGR program, but we're lagging severely on the weekend side. So I know there was discussion.
No, well, and so the general discussion, and I can't give you the details just because it's really the Air Guard, General Farrell, who's my expert. Like even when I'm on the phone with General Rice, who's the director of the Air Guard, I have her with me because I don't talk good Air Guard yet. But we are absolutely trying to grow the Air Guard. And I mentioned some of the things where we're trying to get the Met debt up north, and we'll look at Ellington, we're trying to get a space unit. I mean, we should have a space unit down there because right across from NASA, we have people that work at NASA that are in our units down there. And that space is one of the next big things that's going to be opening up. So definitely a space unit. But, we're Texas. We're like one of the fastest growing states in our nation. And we have 3 wings. And we have a comm squadron, but we have 3 wings. New York has 5 wings. Ohio has 5 wings. What's wrong with that? I have a problem with that. All right, so one of the big, it's same with the Army. The Army could be bigger, their force structure. And especially with all the Air Force bases we have, people coming off active duty and coming in, what a great place for the Air Force to be able to see their skill sets, but to have more Air Guard in Texas. Now I will tell you though, I thought when I was the deputy to General Nichols, I thought getting more force structure and everything, we got enough, we have all the justification in the world for it, but man, people do not like you trying to touch their stuff in other states.
Even though they can't feel it.
Yeah, even though they can't feel it. I mean, it starts to...
We're going for attention. I'm 25, 30, 66, 35, 30. And I understand that the short is 25, 35. Okay, especially because we have the ABAR still in our task force down there. Other than the bonuses that expired September 30 for people under 13 years for retention, do you foresee in the future, or is that an option to targeting 25 and 35%? I know we're staying course to retain what we've got, out of line, you know, all in line.
So, my answer I want to give you is not, it's not necessarily a good answer, but it is what the reality is. Right now, we still get to pick on the Army side, we get to pick 10 of our MOSs for bonuses. I think right now we have bonus for everybody though. Do I have any recruiting in here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So everybody can get a bonus right now though, re-enlistment bonus.
Correct.
Right? And then we have our 10 MOSs, which there was a discussion at a higher level of doing away with that, but I'm not sure where we are. I think that's still there. And we actually have a cap for the bonuses as far as how much we can pay out. And that's how I think the active duty was able to make their mission. They got some really high bonuses out there right now. But if we've done that in the past, targeted, I think we also have to work with you have to work with your local recruiter as well as working with myself with the recruiting battalion to really start targeting those vacancies. And I was in recruiting for 3 years, and we talked about it even then, is targeting certain type of MOS, especially to get in. And I think that they tried to shape that a little bit. I say the battalion, with giving points for different MOSs and stuff to try to encourage. So that's where we are. And that was a very good answer.
Ma'am, has the Army talked about working with reserves a little bit more? I'm from the medical unit down in San Antonio. And we have several senior NCO spots that we'll never be able to grow. We can't grow within the state, but the reserves can. We can enlist the soldier as well into that position, but he'll stay there until he's E4. He can never be that E7 or E8 because he can't grow that position within the state. But the reserves can. Has there been any talk about working some of the reserves? I'm not sure whether some of the signal units may be in the same.
Yeah, we don't need signals going. They didn't say, but.
But I'm just saying we could recruit from them, and we could help our soldiers as well grow with them. Some kind of joint relationship, like the AEP program, something like that.
So I think that really exists at the lower level, kind of. I say this kind of. Because actually, I think the soldiers, once they're at E4 for a while, and the Army Reserve comes and approaches them about some of that. And if they're not, then I guess I'm missing that out. And I understand what you're saying, they kind of stuck at E4.
Right, they'll never grow because the position is in the E7 slot, and they're in there as E4, and we don't have E5 or E6, so we can never grow that person.
You're not the only one like that. We have a couple of MOSs like that. We need to.
That's what we were just talking about. I'm gonna take this on.
We need to find an exception.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm gonna take this on.
And it's been brought up at the GO level with all the states. Yeah. So, but there's got to be, we've had it for a while, and this does bother me because so you guys got it.
Yeah, because
we brought it up for
on the Air Guard side, what they did a few years ago is they gave everybody a track to E9 basically. Every AFSC, you're able to make it up to E9. Whether you get there or not, it's a different story. So I wasn't aware we had all of this. Our movie diary we're talking about. So we're going to try and come up with.
I think sometimes in Cooks we have it. Okay. I'm not sure. I mean, there's some MOSs that are like that, and they're low density though. And those are hard. I hate to say it. We should have come up with. I think sometimes they answer the official answer you give, and you go ask outside the state. Well, they can go to the Army Reserve. That's not really a good answer.
She's got seats with the air operations across the street. Along the same vein, we talk about retention and recruiting, air and Army side. I would venture to say most of us in here are probably baby boomers or Gen X. Have we looked at strategies in order for recruitment and retention, dealing with the next generation? Because a lot of times their values and their beliefs are a lot bigger than ours. So I think that may be some of the challenges that we have with retaining. Looking at strategies in order to reach these folks, other than doing money. Because I think data research shows that money is not always the driver.
Right.
You look at any strategies for that.
We are, and they're actually at the Army level, and I'm sure at the air level, because the air was talking about talent management, the Secretary of the Air Force before the Army was, years ago. They are, I mean, the discussions that are happening, this is above, this is above my pay grade, is the ability for people to come in and out, like to come in for a while and then go back out, and then come back in and have saved their position or either made progress. I think over time, right now, I'm going to use cyber. Cyber is an easy example to apply this to. There's a lot of smart people out there that are going to school for cyber and everything, and then we get kids in, I say kids, in Army and Air because they know they can learn the cyber through being in the military and go to some of the schools. And then after 6 years, they have all this stuff and they can go make more money, even not even just having to be in the Guard. So, and I think the active component is starting to realize, and still using cyber, this doesn't apply to everybody, that cyber might be better in the Guard and Reserves because pulling out of the civilian population the talent. Because the Army's not going to be able to pay these kids enough to retain them on the cyber side because they're going to go make big bucks. So I almost think that there's a lot of time. This is my personal opinion. Don't go and say the tag text said this, but my personal opinion is we haven't reached the crisis point yet where they realize they're going to have to do something else. That's my opinion, especially on cyber. And I say they, I mean DOD, Department of the Army, because I've heard General Milley talk about it. I've heard General McConnell talk about it. So, I mean, we're at my level and at the state level, we're doing some stuff, like instead of giving people lump sum bonus, give them a little bit of their bonus every year. Because that's kind of 12 months or whatever, stay green for 12 months so you can get your bonus. There's a lot of conversation about it, and they're saying IPSA. What do you guys have? You guys don't have IPSA, do you? That's coming into the Army.
Right.
They're starting to say this computer program is going to help with talent management. No computer, it's probably great, you probably have more information and more stats, but a computer program doesn't do talent management. So, but some of these other things they're talking about, again, it's at the DOD, Department of the Army, Department of the Air Force, Secretariat level. There's conversations about it, but there's a lot of bureaucracy to break down to implement some of those processes. So I just don't think we're to the point yet where they go, oh no, we really got to do this now because we're not getting the people that we want. And that's my optic right now. So it's not very positive, but okay. Hey, give me something that's positive so we can end on positive.
Ma'am, Chief Selezniak from the 147th Attack Wing. Could you talk about the TAG Leadership Development Program moving forward?
Okay. Right now, I think how many years have we done it so far?
Since 15 was the first
15.
one.
And who's heard of the TAG Leadership Development Program? Okay. So it's every year. I'm not sure how many people are, about 20, 25?
Somewhere thereabouts.
We go through a selection process. It doesn't get advertised, I don't think. It goes out to like chiefs of staff, and we get a group and we vet, and we put people in a thing called the TAG Leadership Development Program. Now, it's mirrored off the governor's executive development program, where he sends executives in, you get to network and talk about government, you do a project. So, mirrored it off of that. So what I've decided to do, though, is this year we're taking a break from doing what we've done in the past. And some of you guys aren't familiar with it. I'll tell you why. And the why is because it's heavy full-time. We have mostly we get a couple of traditional soldiers in there, or airmen, and State Guard, but it's heavy full-time manning. And nothing against full-time manning, but our full-time manning is only 14% of the people in our organization. So this year we're looking at how do how do we do this where we incorporate more of our traditional airmen and soldiers and state guard? Most state guard guys are traditional. To incorporate, so because it really does expand your optic of what goes on in the organization and what we have to do to go to DC and what we have to do with the state legislature and why relationships matter, which you know that already in some of the stuff that you do. But we need to, the only reason that full-time people have their job is because of our traditional force. And that's my philosophy. And if we don't have those traditional soldiers to pull in, they aren't trained, and all those things that the full-time force is helped, supposedly, they're supposed to take that word back, supposedly. They do. Problem is we don't have enough sometimes, but to make sure that our traditional soldiers, when they come in, that we have the things and whatever training we need to do, and then they can go out the door for whatever mission, state or federal, that we've been tasked to accomplish. So, 21, FY21, I go on FYs, what we call the money flows. We should see another class set up that should be more inclusive. And if we aren't there yet, then you on one of these E9 meetings, so I'll be in here, you can ask me about it, and I'll tell you what's going on. Do you have a question? Or you? Okay. I talked a lot. I hope I told you guys something. And I didn't cover all those, I'm not going to continue. I took what? Did I take 30 minutes of your time?
Go as much as you want.
I know, you guys say that all the time. But there's really a lot of important things to get done. And then one other thing, because they always tell me I have all the time I want. I don't want all the time I want. You don't want me to have all the time I want. And the second of all, when you come in, if you're talking to me for some reason, do not start the conversation off with, I know you're busy. That is a no-go. You'll turn around and you'll get a redo to come back and talk to me because if I'm busy, that's because I'm doing my job that I'm supposed to be doing. And it's about the soldiers and the airmen and our state guardsmen and being able to go out the door and do the mission, federal or state mission, and then taking care of our people so that we have a future. Okay, and again, I'm going to reiterate the retention and also, looking down and who are the people that are coming behind you? Who are the future leaders? That's your most important job right now. It really is. It's who are the future leadership of our components. And if we don't get that right, we will become irrelevant and not ready, and we'll lose the force structure that we have. So you guys, that's one of the most important things that you have. So anyway, I'm going to give it back over to the command chief before. Okay. Thanks for letting me talk, guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, 2-minute break. 2 minutes.
I know you're busy.
Hi.
Assuming you want to talk to me.
Check out our uniform. Make sure it's appropriate.
It's not.
Oh yeah, I thought you were going to go with it. Oh okay. Oh, you changed your mind. Okay.
We invite the guests.
Yeah, just give them a little exposure, and then it's a little bit Army Air, just for the event.
Okay, the awards. Never.
Yeah, they can like see, they can like help us behind the scenes and just a little mentoring.
Yeah,
maybe
let's
practice
work
public
with
speaking.
I
would ask you first.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Specialist.
Yeah, we don't really get tagged. Apaches are on the water. That's the problem we have right now. Apaches are on the water. You want to talk about even worse we've been talking about converting the ship mechanics to Apache hours. So far, we got 2 people applying. It's not something that's like jumping. Oh, I know. Nobody's better than the Apache in my own mind.
Yes.